Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Our guest today is Lynnette Phillips. Lynnette is the owner of Empower Your Possibilities LLC and focuses on values-based coaching where individuals and organizations gain clarity of purpose and values coupled with the power of self-belief. Lynnette is also co-founder of the Fulfilled Mom Movement, a group of values-based coaches curating a space for moms to design a life they love. Inclusive of entrepreneurship, Lynnette is also a hospitality professional with 17 plus years at the Walt Disney World Resort. Welcome to the program, Lynnette Phillips.
Thank you, Joanne, so much for having me. I've been looking forward to spending time with you.
Well, I am so grateful that you are here for many, many reasons. Obviously, because you worked at Disney in Florida. Those who are listening know that Disney currently in California is not functioning. And also because of your topic, values. But before we get into your topic, can you tell us a little bit of your path, how you got to this place where you are the owner of Empower Your Possibilities LLC?
Absolutely. It actually is going to take a journey back about 17 years when I first moved to Orlando, Florida. And this wasn't a 6-month gig. It was a bridge in between college, and it was like my plan before the plan. When you start to tell your parents, like, something's brewing, something's going, and I was going to come for the college program. They had 3 selling points. They said, here you can live, learn, and earn. They would provide housing, and I think my most valuable lessons were how to do life functions with working a 40-hour work week. Like, wow. How do I get my laundry done? College is much, different with your time planning. And so you came here, you learned how to deliver service, how to do it at such a high volume with the amount of guests. I had never been to Walt Disney World before. So my first time was as a 21-year-old intern. And I absolutely fell in love with the industry. Mm-hmm. I had a marketing background, so I thought, I'm going to make these commercials, the ones that make you cry. But I loved being in the operation. So I really grew my career there. I took on a management internship, which was the keys to the building. I ran a front office as one of the front office managers alongside a fellow team of leaders. And, about 7 years into that, got an opportunity to lead the department, helped open some new hotel openings that were here, and really had continued to plan my journey with Disney. That's a company you can certainly retire from, build a robust career with, and it closed. This is the place that I have ridden out hurricanes with, which never closes. We are the safe place for guests. And the COVID era brought that in. I was furloughed along with several, tens of thousands of cast members, and was very much feeling purposeful in the home. My kids were now digital, all of those things. My husband was teaching digitally. And I had already had plans to do additional coaching, had made arrangements with the company to let them know what I would be doing outside of my full-time role. And when I got called back for the opening, as we were phasing in, I guess within 10 days really felt a compelled and a strong pull, and that the alignment for me would be to transition my career and go into my business full-time. So I came home and I had a conversation with my husband, my partner. I call him, he's definitely on my board of directors.
Good.
My personal board of directors, you have to have those people who can help you think through all of the decisions, short-term, long-term, ask me questions. First thing he said to me was, what does support look like for you to do this? And I love that question that he asked me, because it allowed us to really, behave in a manner that we could make this happen and be smart about it. And I made that decision, and I left the company in August, and left on great terms, left with, before the current situation with layoffs still happening, and left in a space of support where, leadership was saying to me, we're grateful to have had your talent for the amount of time that we have. So that's how I got to where I am today.
That's amazing. I mean, you not only turned an extraordinary career with Disney, I say Disney as the all-encompassing word, and you made it work for you. They love you. They want you back. And you had the courage and the guts to trust your instincts and your board of directors to put your foot forward and create this new business, actually 2 new businesses, the Fulfilled Mom Movement and the Empower Your Possibilities LLC. So one of the reasons you are here, my dear, is to talk about values. Most people don't understand what values are. I mean, we discussed this prior recording, but they don't understand the concept of what it means to have a value. I wrote my first book a long time ago, and I have a whole chapter on values. I have a whole list of values. I've written articles on values. I mean, values are part of the 4-point construction foundation, in my opinion. And that's why I always suggest 4 values, ultimately 4 values after they've gone through whatever lessons people need to learn or achieve. So you're here to talk to our audience, and the audience is listening, is how to articulate, understand, and incorporate your personal values into all aspects of your life, including home, work, and anything else. So what can you speak to us about your value system and how it works in the world and how you help people with their own value system?
Oh, yes. They are the pillars. And we typically look at things like our physical, our emotional, our spiritual, health and wealth or around in the richness in those areas. But how do you get that? How do you obtain it? And the how is really the values getting the opportunity to flourish and grow. I remember our conversation a little bit prior to this, and I said, if you visualize a tree that at the roots, that means that deep, deep under the surface work is your belief system. And your belief systems are what going to be that will fuel your values. And your values is that strong trunk. But the challenge becomes if you do not operate in those values and align yourself, you cannot bear the good fruit. That tree might be tall, but will it really flourish? And will it really have every opportunity to seek its full potential? And so you have to start with the ability to actually name your values, elicit those values from yourself, because they're going to come from your life experiences and how you have experienced the world and shaped your thinking too. So typically, I would have a values coaching session with a client where we actually ask a series of questions, and we're going to go that further step. We're going to look beyond not just what you enjoy doing, but what are the benefits? What does that give you? When you ask yourself that question, you're going to get to the value. I have even done this with my 10-year-old son. Now, while he's still definitely forming his opinion of the world, he really is a gift giver. And it's something about for him, just the process of preparing it. So I've asked him one day, what does that give you? So that he could then understand not just the feeling of it, but the fact that for him, he was like, it gives me an opportunity to give something to someone, especially that it shows that I know them, because he likes to pick a very personal gift so that he can then, even as a 10-year-old, remember why that's important to him.
Well, that's amazing. In the world of values, I'm sure some people ask you this when you have finally coached them into whatever you and they agree to, 3 values, 2 values, 1 value, 10, whatever. Do they ever ask you, what if my values change?
We really talk about the prioritization of them may change. You may find that you favor one value over another. So I would refer to top 5. I know you mentioned 4. They go joy, kindness, freedom, care, and compassion. So I have dealt with situations. Probably the most, I would say, transformational moment was the passing of my mom. And so while she was sick, I still found that to overcome that sadness, I found joy in the situation of her relief. And so that's why when it was like I elicited those values and it was like, well, joy is your number one. It was like, yes, because I have to thrive in a positive environment, in one that I may see what's the other side of the coin, and that even in sorrow, there may be joy. And also kindness. Am I being kind to myself? Am I being kind to others? The ability to make the decision to leave a corporate career. I now have a different level of freedom that I didn't have before. And so I make difficult decisions as I think about those. And it may be that 2 years from now, I go through the same exercise and freedom may become my top value just because I've now lived more of it in a different manner. So definitely the prioritization can certainly change. And that just means that there's a little bit more weight on that. And you will incorporate that into your decision making a little bit differently.
Well, I'm thinking here, the ones that you gave me, joy, kindness, freedom, care, and compassion, from my perspective, I appreciate them as emotions or states of mind. The values that I have, show up, be on time, keep your word, and tell your truth, are action oriented. And I think do you see that distinction, or is it just me?
No, yes, I definitely see that you have now placed a statement around those. And so where I take that value, as you say, the emotion tied to it. So freedom for me, now I work that value through my decision-making process. And I'll use that example. I was able to take the options of, I can stay at Disney, still work my business, more or less part-time when it's available. Mm-hmm. I can go to my business full-time and then look at what type of joy does each one give me? What type of, compassion am I, will other areas of my life be able to? So typically, once you have that kind of elicited value associated with it, then we can transfer it into the actual exercises of how you're designing that life.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at, I'll just take my first one, my own personal first value, which is show up with, which is what most people don't do. They don't understand that to be on time and to show up means to be there 100% in the conversation, whatever conversation you're having. Be it by phone, be it work, be it personal, is to show up, is to be present. That means with your entire being. And I think that people don't understand what that means still about being present. Totally. Having all of your pores open to listen and receive the gift, obviously the gift that Lynnette Phillips is giving her clients, but the gift that is to be received if you're distracted or with, God bless us all, your phone in your hand. I won't talk with people if they have a phone in their hand. That's the bottom line. I just don't do it because that means they're not paying attention to what I'm saying. And if they're not paying attention to what I'm saying, they don't care about what I'm saying. And if they don't care about what I'm saying, why should I care about them being rude? Because that's my concept. I don't know how much sense that makes to you, but that's my concept. So I don't like that. I don't like, with certain creative people, myself included, we're liable to do more than one thing at a time. And I know that you can't be on the phone and speak to someone and play Fortnite at the same time. You can't do that. It's just not possible.
It's just not possible. I definitely agree, where I think I challenge even clients at times when it comes to what happens when someone has a conflicting value, which is how do you then share with them that piece of you, because you have really honed in as to why that behavior is in misalignment and it collides with your value of showing up and being present. And if they come to the table and believe like, oh, I place a high value on multitasking, or no, I am listening. I am listening, because they don't necessarily have the same response. It allows you to start to have that dialogue, though, at a deeper level, which is, so this is why it's important to me. And even if they alter their behavior just with you, they know how to show up in that space. So Joanne, you bring up a really great point about what happens when you might be in a situation where the behaviors you're experiencing from another person comes from the conflict in values. Certainly none of us grew up with phones in our hands, so we didn't grow up where you thought, I'm going to talk to someone and have a conversation and try to multitask or play that Fortnite and do those things. but we're living in a society where that happens. So you can actually take that conversation deeper with that person and explain why there's a conflict with values. Like, let me tell you a little bit about, how I view conversations and how I like to show up in them. I know you use the word show up. It's really important because then it becomes a values-based conversation with that individual. And you can also hear from them. And hopefully they actually even modify their behavior, especially in a conversation with you.
I would hope so too.
You hope people hear you though, but sometimes do they really hear you?
Well, I don't know. And that's why I try to reach people in more than one way. I reach them audibly through podcasts. I reach them via writing through my blog posts and articles that I write. And, and I have conversations with people. So there's a couple of ways that I can deal with people or handle people or interact with people. Let's use that word instead. Interact with people that I'm using different, the audio, the oral. So people who are just into listening can listen to the podcast. And yes, I recommend that everybody re-listen to this podcast with your yellow pad right next to you and taking notes. And, it's you just have to present in all ways, all ALL ways, not always, and hope that somebody picks up every third word at least so that they go, hey, I think I heard that before when they hear it again 2 years from now. So talk to us about your book.
Yes, the book, it's called It's Possible, Dreamers Manifesto to Overcome Opposition. Big mouthful there.
Would you repeat the title again? It got lost in the ether.
Yes, ma'am. It's called It's Possible, a Dreamer's Manifesto to Overcome Opposition. It was an opportunity to enter a space and share the story of what life was really like the first 18 to 24 months after the passing of my mother. My mother was 55 years young, and I emphasize years young. And it's just so much, that she really, really still wanted to do, but her body riddled with cancer a second time, just was not able to overcome it. But it became a catalyst. I often say in her death, I really learned how to live. You want to talk about? I was
going to say her death released your creativity.
It was when you talked about being really present, I think in the conversations that we had near that end, in the time that we had together, my mother started her hospice care in my home. So the last 6 months, and that's just another journey of itself. But I entered grad school. It had been a goal of mine for 10 years. And I kept adding it to the next year. And it was interesting that the accountability from kind of those key people in my life didn't really come. And within a matter of 8 days of having a conversation with a admissions team at a university, I was on a conditional acceptance. It was that quick, about a couple months after my mom's passing. And then about midway through there, my husband said, he's like, I'm getting close to 40. If we're going to have another child, I think we should go now. And I said, now? Like us? Really? Okay. Let's add that on. And so, but we did. And, then it takes time, but we got pregnant with our second. And I was, still leading a team. I actually started grad school a week after a whole company reorganization and leading a brand new team at a new hotel. So just a lot of change and transition. But to me, it was what I needed that became part of this other journey and exploration of purpose and getting clarity on it for me and focusing on my health and my self-care. And so that's really for me, while it wasn't a oppositional moment, I capitalized on what I felt were key messages to learn and about what would I want that story to be if I were 55 and that were mine. And I felt I didn't want to leave any stone unturned. So I really got more into the movement of life and just started making some dreams really happen.
Well, you are amazing to experience all, including sadness and pain, but including elation. And you are obviously extremely, putting your intelligence to the side, you're extremely flexible and adaptable. And that is what's really vital in this world today, maybe more than ever. But today is just an unscreening of things. It's it's an opportunity for people to shift and change and pivot, the common word, but I just call it change. I call it movement. And you are highly adaptable. You do that. You just, okay, Mom, we're going to have another baby. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And you go, ultimately, oh, okay, I can handle that.
Yeah, and I think it taught me to learn to live in relationship with the grief. Like, I allowed it to understand it's now part of the story and the fabric of it. So yes, there's days I'm sad. Yes, there's days I'm happy. There's days I have to say, I know she's proud of me. And it just becomes the fuel. Like, we have to remember our body, the cellular being, it runs on fuel. Sometimes it's that mental fuel and that clarity. Sometimes it's that physical energy and what you're feeding it. And so again, going back to the pillars, which to me goes back to the values conversation. So I know what makes me feel so connected to my pillars, like what really drives me, right? I have joy when I actually indulge in the good meals, and I don't feel so bad about it because I know I've eaten really good things along the way, Oh,
I understand. Totally. So tell people where they can find your book. It's possible. And on your website, I know it's there somewhere. Where would it be?
Yes. If you go to LynnettePhillips.com and /shop, or even use the menu to get to our marketplace to shop, you can get a copy of the book directly, and I will send it to you. So it is available on my website, LynnettePhillips.com /shop.
And you'll sign it, right? Because some people like their books to be autographed.
I do sign it.
So how else can people find you? Because what you're doing right now in the world today, talking about values, which is, to me, values are the foundation. As you know, I have 4 big ones that I currently work with, and I review them from time to time to see if they need to change. And I go, nope, I'll add the other things someplace else. So how can people find you if they want to talk to you about their own value system, or if they want to talk to you about the Fulfilled Mom movement, creating a space for moms to design a life they love?
I'll start with the Fulfilled Mom movement. If you go to jointhemommovement.com, you can engage with our email list. We don't flood your inbox because we know, one, for busy moms, you just don't have that amount of time on your hand these days, but we do drop in with a lot of links to different articles, opportunities to get in a mindful space, and just support efforts for moms there. My website has an opportunity that says, tell me how you'd like to collaborate, and I can tell you a little bit more. I connect and I capture your email there. And then we also have LinkedIn is probably where I am most active.
So that would be people who are looking at you and listening to this on my website or other places can see, certainly on my website, they can see your social media. So you're doing Lynnette-Phillips. Is that who you are on LinkedIn?
On my LinkedIn, yes, it'll take you right to Lynnette Phillips. You'll usually see a nice bright yellow and black banner for you as well, and owner of Empower Your Possibilities. So that is the name of the business. Okay,
and that's Lynnette, Lynnette, Phillips, Phillips, because there's so many different spellings of everybody's names today. Trust me on that. Well, I want to thank Lynnette Phillips for being here today. She's been a great guest. And for those of you who are listening, you can go to Apple and give her a great review and give the Sanity Project podcast a thumbs up. And I appreciate everybody being here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.